Chapter 6, Guanyin investigates the cause. Erlangshan subdues the great sage. Guanyin Bodhisattva, the compassionate and merciful savior from Mount Patalaka in the South China Sea, traveled to the peach banquet with her eldest disciple Huyan Xingzhe at the invitation of the Queen Mother of the West. The two flew on auspicious clouds and ascended to the Jade Pool and Treasure Pavilion, but the scene before them was completely different from the past. The once brightly decorated and joyful banquet venue was now desolate and messy with leftover tables. Several immortals stood around talking in confusion and regret instead of taking their seats. After greeting each other, the immortals told Guanyin Bodhisattva in detail what had happened earlier. Guanyin Bodhisattva said, "Since there is no feast and no toasting, you can follow me to see the Jade Emperor." The immortals, eager to find out the truth, agreed willingly. When the group arrived at the Hall of Brightness, the four heavenly teachers and the barefoot immortal were already waiting there. Seeing Guanyin Bodhisattva, they hurried forward to greet her and then explained that the Jade Emperor was troubled by the chaos caused by a monster monkey. He had dispatched heavenly troops to capture it, but there had been no news yet, and the outcome was uncertain. Guanyin Bodhisattva said, "I wish to see the Jade Emperor. Please relay my request." Heavenly teacher Qiu Hongji did not dare to delay and immediately entered the Hall of Divine Mists to report. Soon, an order came to summon Guanyin Bodhisattva inside. At this time, in the Hall of Divine Mists, the Supreme Old Lord sat on the upper seat, the Queen Mother of the West stood behind him, and the Jade Emperor looked worried. Guanyin Bodhisattva entered the hall with the immortals and Huyan, bowed to the Jade Emperor first, then exchanged greetings with the Supreme Old Lord and the Queen Mother of the West, and took their seats. She then asked why the peach banquet was in such a state. The Jade Emperor sighed and said, "Every year's banquet is joyful, but this year it was ruined by the monster monkey, making it a fruitless invitation." Guanyin Bodhisattva asked about the monster monkey's origin, and the Jade Emperor recounted the story in detail. This monster monkey was born from a stone egg on Flower and Fruit Mountain in Alai country of the eastern surging continent. When it was born, it emitted golden light from its eyes that pierced the heavenly realms. At first, no one paid much attention to it, but later it became a spirit, subduing dragons and tigers, and even erased its name from the Book of Life and Death without permission. The Dragon King and the god of the underworld jointly reported this to me. I originally wanted to send troops to capture it, but the star of Venus remonstrated that all beings with 9 orifices in the 3 realms can attain immortality. I then decided to educate and cultivate it, summoning it to the heavenly realm and appointing it as the protector of the horses. However, the monkey resented the lowly position and rebelled against the heavenly palace. I sent Heavenly Kingly and Prince Najah to subdue it, and later issued an edict to appease it, conferring the title of Great Sage equal to heaven, though it had no official salary. With nothing to do, it wandered around, and I was afraid it would cause more trouble, so I ordered it to take charge of the peach garden. But it ignored the rules and ate all the ripe peaches from the oak trees. When the peach banquet was held, it was not invited because it had no salary. It tricked the barefoot immortal by transforming into his appearance to sneak into the banquet, ate all the celestial delicacies and wine, stole the Supreme Old Lord's immortal elixirs and a large amount of imperial wine, and brought them back to Flower and Fruit Mountain to enjoy with a group of monkey spirits. Troubled by this, I dispatched 100,000 heavenly troops to set up a net to capture it, but a whole day has passed, and there is still no news of victory or defeat. After listening to the Jade Emperor's account, Guanyin Bodhisattva immediately ordered Huyan Xingzhe, "Go down to the heavenly palace quickly, go to Flower and Fruit Mountain, and inquire about the military situation. If you encounter an enemy, you can assist in the battle and must report the truth." Huyan Xingzhe quickly tidied his robes, held an iron rod, and flew away from the South Heavenly Gate straight for Flower and Fruit Mountain. As soon as he arrived at Flower and Fruit Mountain, Huyan saw a dense net surrounding the entire mountain, with heavenly soldiers guarding each camp gate, shouting orders, and the mountain was completely impenetrable. Huyan stopped his cloud and shouted, "Please inform the heavenly soldiers at the camp gate. I am Moza, the second son of Heavenly King Li, and Huyan, the eldest disciple of Guanyin Bodhisattva from the South China Sea, specially here to inquire about the military situation." The 5 great mountain gods in the camp did not dare to delay and immediately passed the message up, eventually reaching Shiri Shu, Marei Ji, Xingri Ma, and Fangri Tu in the central military tent, who quickly reported to Heavenly King Li. Heavenly King Li issued an order to open the net and let him in. At this time, the eastern sky was just turning pale. Huyan followed the order and entered the camp, bowed to Heavenly King Li and the 4 heavenly kings. After bowing, Heavenly King Li asked, "My son, where are you coming from?" Huyan replied, "I accompanied the Bodhisattva to the peach banquet." Seeing the banquet was desolate and the jade pool was empty, the Bodhisattva led the immortals and me to see the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor told me that father and others had gone down to subdue the monster monkey, but there had been no news for a day, and the outcome was unknown. So the Bodhisattva sent me here to find out the truth. Heavenly King Li sighed and said, "We set up camp here yesterday and sent the 9 luminaries to challenge him. But the monkey displayed great magical powers, and the 9 luminaries were all defeated and fled back. Later, we led the troops ourselves, and the monkey also formed a battle formation. Our 100,000 heavenly troops fought with him until nightfall, but he used a body-splitting technique to repel us. When we counted the troops after retreating, we only captured some wolves, tigers, leopards and other beasts, not a single monkey spirit. We have not fought again today." Before Heavenly King Li finished speaking, someone reported outside the military gate, "The great sage is leading a group of monkey spirits, shouting outside." The 4 heavenly kings, Heavenly King Li, and Prince Najal were just discussing sending troops. Huyan stepped forward and said, "Father, the Bodhisattva instructed me to inquire about the news and said I could assist in the battle if it happened. Now I am willing to go and see what kind of great sage he is." Heavenly King Li said, "My son, you have cultivated with the Bodhisattva for several years, and you must have gained some magical powers. Be careful." Huyan gripped his iron rod with both hands, tightened his embroidered robes, jumped out of the military gate, and shouted loudly, "Who is the great sage equal to heaven?" Wukong held his very golden hoop staff and replied, "It is I, son Wukong. Who are you to dare ask me?" Huyan said, "I am Moza, the second son of Heavenly King Li, now a disciple and protector of the Dharma before Guanyin Bodhisattva's throne, and my Dharma name is Huyan." Wukong raised his eyebrows and said, "Why have you left your cultivation in the South China Sea to come here to see me?" Huyan said, "I was sent by my master to inquire about the military situation, and seeing how arrogant you are, I have come specifically to capture you." Wukong laughed loudly and said, "You dare to speak such big words? Don't run, take my staff." Huyan showed no fear and swung his iron rod to meet the attack. The two fought fiercely halfway up the mountain outside the military gate. They clashed with iron rods, but the weapons and the fighters were different. One was a scattered immortal known as the Great Sage, and the other was Guanyin's disciple, a true dragon of the origin. Huyan's iron rod was forged through thousands of hammer strikes, infused with the magical powers of the Six Ding and Six Jia. Wukong's very golden hoop staff was the treasure that stabilized the heavenly river, possessing immense divine power. They were evenly matched opponents, exchanging countless moves with great speed and skill. The battle flags fluttered on both sides, and the drums boomed. 100,000 heavenly troops surrounded the area, while a group of monkey spirits gathered closely. Evil mists and ominous chi filled the underworld, and wolf smoke and murderous aura shot up to the heavenly palace. The fight the previous day was intense, but today's confrontation was even more fierce. Wukong displayed extraordinary skills, and Huyan was defeated again, fleeing for his life. They fought for dozens of rounds, and Huyan's arms grew numb, unable to continue fighting. He feinted a strike and retreated in defeat. Seeing him leave, Wukong also gathered his monkey troops and set up camp outside the cave. When Huyan fled back to the camp, the four heavenly kings, Heavenly King Li, and Najah hurried forward to greet him. He panted heavily and said, "What a great sage, what a great sage. He is truly extremely powerful. I couldn't defeat him and have retreated in defeat." Heavenly King Li was shocked and immediately ordered someone to write a memorial asking for help, sending the mighty Ghost King and Prince Moza to report to the Jade Emperor in the Heavenly Palace. The two did not dare to delay, broke through the net, and flew on auspicious clouds, arriving at the Hall of Brightness in a moment. After meeting the four heavenly teachers, they were led to the Hall of Divine Mists and presented the memorial requesting assistance. Huyan then bowed to Guanyin Bodhisattva, who asked, "What did you find out?" Huyan recounted everything he had seen and heard since arriving at Flower and Fruit Mountain, saying he had fought with Wukong for dozens of rounds but failed to win, so his father had sent him and the mighty Ghost King to seek help. After listening, Guanyin Bodhisattva lowered her head and pondered. When the Jade Emperor opened the memorial and saw the request for help, he smiled and said, "What an audacious monster monkey! How much power can he have to dare to confront 100,000 heavenly troops? Heavenly King Li is asking for help again, but which heavenly troops should I send to assist him?" Before he finished speaking, Guanyin Bodhisattva joined her palms and remonstrated, "Your Majesty, please be at ease. I recommend a deity who can capture this monkey. The Jade Emperor quickly asked, which deity are you referring to? Guanyin Bodhisattva replied, he is your majesty's nephew, Erlangshan, the holy manifestation. He now resides in Guanjianku in Guangzhou, receiving offerings from the mortal world. In the past, he subdued 6 monsters with his strength, and he has the 6 Maishan brothers and 1,200 grass-headed gods under his command, all with great magical powers. However, he only obeys orders but not summons. Your Majesty can issue an edict to dispatch troops, ordering him to assist, and he will surely capture the monkey. The Jade Emperor was overjoyed, immediately issued an edict to dispatch troops, and ordered the mighty Ghost King to deliver it to Erlangshan. The mighty Ghost King took the edict, flew straight to Guanjiankou, and arrived at Erlangshan's temple in less than half an hour. The ghost guards at the door quickly reported inside, and Erlangshan went out to greet the edict with the 6 Maishan brothers, burning incense and opening the edict to read. The edict said, the monster monkey Sun Wukong from Flower and Fruit Mountain has rebelled. He stole peaches, wine, and elixirs in the heavenly palace, disrupting the peach banquet. 100,000 heavenly troops have been dispatched, setting up 18 layers of nets to surround the mountain and subdue him, but they have not yet succeeded. Now I specially order my beloved nephew to go to Flower and Fruit Mountain with your sworn brothers to assist in eliminating him. After success, you will be promoted and richly rewarded. Erlangshan was delighted and said to the mighty Ghost King, please return, celestial messenger. I will go at once to help. After sending off the Ghost King, Erlangshan immediately gathered the 6 Maishan brothers generals Kang, Zhang, Yao, Li, and generals Guoshen and Zhijian and said, the Jade Emperor has just dispatched us to Flower and Fruit Mountain to subdue the monster monkey. Let us go at once. All the brothers agreed willingly. Erlangshan assembled his troops, and they flew on the wind with eagles and dogs, carrying crossbows and bows, quickly crossing the East China Sea and arriving at Flower and Fruit Mountain. They saw dense nets blocking the way and could not move forward. Erlangshan shouted loudly, listen, divine generals of the net. I am Erlangshan, the holy manifestation, sent by the Jade Emperor to capture the monster monkey. Quickly open the camp gate and let us pass. The message was passed layer by layer inside the camp, and the 4 heavenly kings and heavenly kingly hurried out of the military gate to greet him. After greeting each other, heavenly kingly recounted in detail the process of subduing the monster monkey. Erlangshan smiled and said, when I come here, I must compete with him in transformations. Gentlemen, keep the net tight around the mountain but leave the top open to let us fight. If I lose to him, there is no need for you to help, my brothers will support me. If I defeat him, there is no need for you to bind him, my brothers will handle it. I only ask heavenly kingly to hold the magic mirror of revealing demons and stand in the sky. I am afraid he will flee elsewhere if he is defeated, so you must keep a close watch and not let him escape. Heavenly kingly and the others nodded in agreement, each going to their designated positions, and the heavenly troops lined up in formation, waiting for orders. Erlangshan led the 4 generals and 2 commanders, a total of 7 brothers, out of the camp to challenge, and ordered the other generals to guard the camp tightly and watch over the eagles and dogs. After the grass-headed gods received the order, Erlangshon went straight to outside the water curtain cave. He saw a group of monkey spirits lined up in a coiled dragon formation neatly, with a large flag standing in the center inscribed with 4 characters, "Great Sage equal to heaven." Erlangshon said, "That reckless monkey, how dare he claim the title of equal to heaven?" The 6 Mysian brothers said, "Don't praise him, let's go challenge him." The little monkeys outside the cave saw Erlangshon and quickly reported inside. Wukong immediately drew his very golden hook staff, adjusted his golden armor, put on his cloud-stepping boots, pressed his purple gold crown, and jumped out of the camp gate. Opening his eyes wide, he saw Erlangshon had a handsome and dignified appearance with bright eyes and ears that reached his shoulders. He wore a 3-mountain phoenix feather cap on his head and a pale goose-yellow robe. His golden threaded boots matched his coiled dragon socks, and his jade belt was inlaid with 8 treasures and flower patterns. He carried a crescent-shaped slingshot at his waist and held a 3-pointed, 2-edged spear in his hand. He once split Peach Mountain with an axe to save his mother and shot 2 phoenixes in the Zongluo tree with his slingshot. His fame spread far and wide for subduing 8 monsters, and he formed an alliance with the 7 sages of Mysian. He was proud and refused to recognize his heavenly relatives, choosing to reside in Guanyin as a deity. He was the sacred and powerful Erlangshon with boundless manifestations. Wukong smiled, raised his very golden hook staff, and shouted loudly, "Who are you, young general, to dare to come here and challenge me?" Erlangshon shouted angrily, "You blind monkey, don't you recognize me? I am Erlang, the king of divine grace and manifestation, the Jade Emperor's nephew. I was ordered to come here to capture you, the reckless monkey who rebelled against the heavenly palace and once served as the protector of the horses. You don't know when to quit." Wukong said, "I remember the Jade Emperor's younger sister descended to the mortal world to marry Lord Yang and gave birth to a son who split Peach Mountain with an axe. Is that you? I wanted to scold you a few times, but we have no enmity. I wanted to hit you with my staff, but it would be a waste of your life. You are just a young man, so hurry back and call the 4 heavenly kings here." Erlangshon was enraged and said, "Reckless monkey, don't be rude. Take my sword." Wukong dodged sideways, quickly raised his very golden hoop staff to counterattack. Erlangshon, the holy manifestation, and Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven. One was the arrogant monkey king who looked down on his enemies, and the other was the true pillar who could subdue the unruly. When they met, both were eager to fight. They had never known each other's strength before, but today they would test each other's power. Wukong's iron rod moved like a flying dragon, and Erlangshon's spear danced like a phoenix. They attacked and defended, advancing and retreating. On Erlangshon's side, the 6 Mysian brothers boosted morale, while on Wukong's side, the 4 monkey marshals conveyed military orders. Both sides waved flags and beat drums with unity, shouting and cheering to encourage their troops. Their weapons clashed seamlessly, each move precise and powerful. Wukong's very golden hoop staff was a treasure from the sea, capable of transforming and flying to achieve victory. Whoever was slow would lose their life, and any mistake would lead to disaster. They fought for more than 300 rounds, and neither could gain the upper hand. Erlangchen unleashed his divine power, transforming into a giant 10,000 zhang tall. Holding his three-pointed, two-edged spear in both hands, he looked like the peak of Mount Hua, with a green face, fangs, and vermilion hair, rushing fiercely to chop at Wukong's head. Wukong refused to back down, using his magical powers to transform into the same size and appearance as Erlangchen, holding the Rui golden hoop staff like a pillar supporting the sky from Mount Kunlun, struggling to resist Erlangchen. The sight terrified Marshal Ma and Lu, who trembled too much to wave their flags, and Generals Bing and Ba, who were too scared to wield their swords. Seeing this, the 6 Maishan brothers Kang, Zhang, Yao, Li, Guoshen, and Jijian immediately issued orders, sending the grass-headed gods to charge at the water curtain cave, releasing eagles and dogs, and shooting arrows to attack together. Unfortunately, the 4 monkey marshals were scattered, and more than 2,000 monster spirits were captured. The monkeys threw down their weapons, fled in all directions, some running up the mountain, some returning to the cave, like night owls startling roosting birds, scattering everywhere like stars in the sky. Wukong was locked in a fierce battle with Erlangchen when he suddenly saw his monkey troops scattering in panic. He felt flustered, quickly withdrew his giant form, grabbed his staff, and fled. Erlangchen saw him fleeing, chased after him, and shouted, "Where are you going? Surrender quickly, and I will spare your life." Wukong had no desire to fight, only focusing on escaping. As he approached the cave entrance, he was blocked by the 4 generals Kang, Zhang, Yao, Li, and the 2 commanders Guoshen and Jijian, leading their troops. Wukong panicked, shrank his Rui golden hoop staff into a Xiu Hua Zhen and hid it in his ear, then transformed into a sparrow, perching on the top of a tree. The 6 brothers searched everywhere but could not find him, shouting together, "The monster monkey has escaped! The monster monkey has escaped!" As they shouted, Erlangchen arrived and asked, "Brothers, where did he go?" The divine generals replied, "We surrounded him just now, but he disappeared in the blink of an eye." Erlangchen opened his phoenix eyes wide and looked carefully, soon discovering that the sparrow perched on the tree was Wukong in disguise. He withdrew his giant form, threw away his spear, took off his slingshot, and transformed into a sparrow hawk, flapping his wings to pounce on Wukong. Seeing this, Wukong flew up suddenly and transformed into a large cormorant, soaring into the sky. Erlangchen shook his feathers quickly, transformed into a large sea crane, and flew up into the clouds to catch him. Wukong then dived down, plunging into a stream and transforming into a fish, swimming underwater. Erlangchen chased to the stream bank, but saw no trace of Wukong. He thought to himself, that monkey must have gone into the water, transforming into a fish or shrimp. I will transform again to catch him. Saying this, he transformed into a cormorant, floating on the surface of the stream waiting. After a while, the fish transformed by Wukong swam downstream. Suddenly, he saw a bird that looked like a heron but was not green, like an egret but without plumes on its head, like a stork but with red legs. Wukong thought to himself, that must be Erlangsheng transformed to wait for me. He quickly turned around and swam away, splashing water. Erlangsheng smiled and said, that splashing fish looks like a carp but has no red tail, like a mandarin fish but has no colorful scales, like a black fish but has no star on its head, like a bream but has no spines on its gills. Why did it swim away when it saw me? It must be that monkey in disguise. He chased after it and pecked at it. Wukong jumped out of the water, transformed into a water snake, swam to the shore, and burrowed into the grass. Erlangsheng failed to peck him, and when he saw a snake jumping out of the splashing water, he recognized it was Wukong. He quickly turned around and transformed into a gray crane with a vermilion embroidered crest, stretching out its long beak like a pointed iron clamp to eat the water snake. The water snake jumped and transformed into a bustard, standing clumsily on the riverbank. Erlangsheng saw that it had transformed into a lowly creature, knowing that the bustard was the most despicable and lewd bird, mating with any bird from phoenixes to crows. He disdained to approach it, reverted to his original form, picked up his slingshot, drew it fully, and shot a pellet that hit the bustard, making it stagger. Taking this opportunity, Wukong rolled down the cliff, lay there, and transformed again, turning into a small land temple. He opened his mouth wide as the temple gate, his teeth as the temple doors, his tongue as the bodhisattva statue, and his eyes as the window lattice. Only his tail was hard to hide, so he stuck it out behind and transformed it into a flagpole. Erlangsheng chased to the cliff bottom, but did not see the bustard, only a small temple. He opened his phoenix eyes wide and looked carefully, seeing the flagpole standing behind the temple. He couldn't help smiling and said, that monkey is up to his tricks again. I have seen many temples, but never one with a flagpole behind it. It must be that monster playing tricks. If he lures me into the temple, he will bite me. How could I fall for that? I will punch the window lattice first, then kick the temple doors. Wukong heard this clearly inside the temple and panicked, thinking, how cruel. The temple doors are my teeth, and the window lattice is my eyes. If he breaks my teeth and damages my eyes, what will I do? With a tiger leap, he jumped into the air and disappeared. Erlangsheng chased around but could not find Wukong's trace. At this time, the 4 generals and 2 commanders gathered around and said, Brother, have you captured the great sage? Erlangsheng smiled and said, that monkey just transformed into a temple to trick me. I was about to punch the window lattice and kick the temple doors when he jumped up and disappeared without a trace. How strange. Everyone was shocked, looking around but seeing no sign of Wukong. Erlangsheng said, Brothers, stay here to guard and patrol. I will go up to look for him. He jumped up, flew into the air, and saw Heavenly Kingly holding the magic mirror of revealing demons and Najah standing in the clouds. He asked, Heavenly King, have you seen that monkey king? Heavenly Kingly replied, he hasn't come up here. I have been watching him with the mirror. Erlangsheng recounted the battle with Wukong, their transformation contest, and the capture of the monkey troops, adding that Wukong had escaped when he transformed into a temple. After listening, Heavenly Kingly scanned the surroundings with the magic mirror of revealing demons and laughed. Erlangshan, hurry, hurry. That monkey used an invisibility spell to escape the camp and is heading to your Guanyin. Hearing this, Erlangshan immediately picked up his spear and rushed to Guanyin. Meanwhile, Wukong had already arrived at Guanyin by cloud. He transformed into Erlangshan's appearance, descended from the clouds, and entered Erlangshan's temple directly. The ghost guards could not tell the difference and knelt down to greet him one by one. He sat in the middle, checking the incense offerings, seeing the 3 sacrificial animals offered by Li Hu, the blessings vowed by Zhang Long, the prayer scroll for a son from Zhao Jia, and the wish for healing from Qian Bing. As he was looking, someone reported, "Another master has arrived." The ghost guards hurried to look, all terrified. Erlangshan walked into the temple and asked, "Has the great sage equal to heaven been here?" The ghost guards replied, "We haven't seen any great sage, only one master checking the offerings inside." Erlangshan rushed into the temple, and when Wukong saw he was exposed, he reverted to his original form and said, "No need to shout, young man. This temple now belongs to Sun." Erlangshan immediately raised his 3-pointed, 2-edged spear and chopped at Wukong's face. Wukong dodged the spear with a quick movement, took out the Xiuhua from his ear, shook it to make it as thick as a bowl, and rushed forward to counterattack. The two fought noisily, rushing out of the temple, battling while flying through the mist and clouds, and returning to Flower and Fruit Mountain. This panicked the 4 heavenly kings and others, who strengthened their defenses. Generals Kong and Zhang and the others greeted Erlangshan, joining forces to surround Wukong tightly. On the other side, after dispatching Erlangshan and the 6 Maishan brothers to capture the monster, the mighty Ghost King returned to the heavenly palace to report. The Jade Emperor was talking with Guanyin Bodhisattva, the Queen Mother of the West, and other immortals in the Hall of Divine Mists, saying, "Since Erlangshan has gone to fight, there has been no news all day." Guanyin Bodhisattva joined her palms and said, "Your Majesty, please come with the Tao ancestor to the outside of the South Heavenly Gate to see the situation for yourselves." The Jade Emperor said, "That makes sense." He immediately arranged his carriage and went to the South Heavenly Gate with the Tao ancestor, Guanyin Bodhisattva, the Queen Mother of the West, and other immortals. Heavenly soldiers and powerful warriors had already arrived to greet them, opening the heavenly gate for them to look far away. They saw the heavenly soldiers setting up nets around the mountain, Heavenly King Li and Najah holding the magic mirror of revealing demons and standing in the sky, and Erlangshan surrounding Wukong in the middle, engaging in fierce battle. Guanyin Bodhisattva turned to the Supreme Old Lord and said, "How is the Erlangshan I recommended? He truly has divine powers and has trapped the great sage, but he hasn't captured him yet. I will help him now to ensure his capture." The Supreme Old Lord asked, "What weapon will you use, Bodhisattva, and how will you help him?" Guanyin Bodhisattva said, "I will throw my pure vase and willow branch down to hit the monkey's head. Even if it doesn't kill him, it will knock him down, allowing Erlangshan to capture him easily." The Supreme Old Lord said, your vase is made of porcelain. It will be fine if it hits him, but if it misses his head and hits his iron rod, it will shatter. Don't act yet, let me help him." Guanyin Bodhisattva asked, "What weapon do you have?" The Supreme Old Lord said, "I have one, I have one." He rolled up his sleeve, took off a ring from his left arm, and said, "This weapon is forged from Kun steel, refined with my elixir, infused with spiritual energy. It can transform freely, is impervious to water and fire, and can trap all kinds of objects. It is called the Golden Girdle, also known as the Golden Ring. In the past, when I passed through Hanga Pass and converted the barbarians to Buddhism, this treasure was of great help. It is my most reliable self-defense weapon. Let me throw it down to hit him." After speaking, the Supreme Old Lord threw the golden girdle down from the heavenly gate. It spun rapidly and fell straight into the camp at Flower and Fruit Mountain, hitting Yukong right on the head. Yukong was so focused on fighting the 7 sages that he did not notice the weapon falling from the sky. Hit on his celestial spirit, he lost his balance and fell to the ground. He struggled to get up and run, but Erlangshen's divine dog caught up, bit him hard on the back of the leg, and made him fall again. Yukong lay on the ground and cursed, "You damned dog! Why don't you bother your master instead of biting me?" He tried to turn over but couldn't get up. The 7 sages swarmed him, pinning him down, binding him tightly with ropes, and piercing his shoulder blades with hook swords to prevent him from transforming again. The Supreme Old Lord retrieved his golden girdle and invited the Jade Emperor, Guanyin Bodhisattva, the Queen Mother of the West, and other immortals to return to the Hall of Divine Mists. Below, the 4 heavenly kings, Heavenly Kingly, and other divine generals withdrew their troops and camp, stepping forward to congratulate Erlangshen, saying, "This is your merit, young sage." Erlangshen humbly said, "This is due to the Tao ancestors' blessing and the power of all the divine generals. I deserve no credit." The 4 generals Kong, Zhang, Yao, and Li said, "Brother, no need to say more. Let's take this monster to the heavenly palace to see the Jade Emperor and ask for his decision." Erlangshen said, "Brothers, you have not received official appointments from the heavenly court, so you cannot meet the Jade Emperor. Order the heavenly soldiers to escort him, and I will return to the heavenly palace with Heavenly Kingly to report. You lead the troops to search the mountain thoroughly, then return to Guanjiankou. After I receive the reward and merit, I will come back to celebrate with you." The 4 generals and 2 commanders agreed and followed his orders. Erlangshen and the others flew up on clouds, singing victory songs and returning to the heavenly palace triumphantly. Soon, they arrived outside the Hall of Brightness. The heavenly teacher reported, "The 4 heavenly kings and others have captured the monster monkey son Yukong and are here to receive your majesty's order." The Jade Emperor issued an edict, ordering the mighty Ghost King and the heavenly soldiers to escort the monster monkey to the execution platform and chop him into pieces. As the saying goes, arrogance leads to punishment and suffering, and heroic spirit fades in an instant. No one knows if the Monkey King will survive. Let's wait for the next chapter to find out.